Hello, I'm Owen Dennis, creator of Infinity Train on HBO Max. Oops. So today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite animation techniques, which is called the multiplane photography. All 2D animation is basically made with a cell and a background. The cell is where you draw the characters, and that usually sits on top of the background, and the background is usually a painting. So here's a walk cycle that I did of Atticus from Infinity Train, now on HBO Max. So here he is walking, he's having like a nice little stroll. Like, where's he walking? I don't know, how about here? Okay, so look at this scrolling background. It's just a flat background. It's your basic, skull, horrorscape that a corgi would be walking through, the basics. Now look at this live action footage of a young couple going for a stroll with their corgi. What a lovely couple. I bet they're living a great life. 3 more years until their student loans are finally paid off. They live in a park, I guess. Maybe later they'll swing by that new place where you get to build your own burger. While wearing a mask. So look what's behind them. The trees in the distance are moving at a different speed than the grass or the concrete in the foreground. So how can you emulate that to make your animation look more realistic? Animation in general, it's all fake. You can't just record something. It's entirely made up. It's complete. It's just a bunch of drawings. So now let's time travel back to the 1930s. Ah, the 1930s, back when there were only 30 people and all 30 of those 30 people were 30 years old, and a 30-cent piece's actual monetary value was a mere 30 cents. In the 1930s, 2 different studios were competing for the ultimate realism in their animation. One studio invented something called the stereo-optical camera, or the setback camera, where they'd put the animation cell in front of the camera and then they'd have this giant rotating stage of miniatures behind it. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. You should look it up. But then the other studio invented something called the multiplane camera. And this is still a term that we use in 2D animation today. They would put the camera at the top, then have a massive stack of glass that they would paint different elements of the background, and then take a photo with the camera. Shift all the backgrounds just a little bit, take a photo with the camera. Shift all the backgrounds just a little bit, take a photo with the camera. Shift all the backgrounds just a little bit, take a photo with the camera. Shift all the backgrounds just a little bit, take a photo with the camera. They would just do that over and over and over again, 24 times for every 1 second of film. It's very tedious. Animation is tedious. And so this is our final result from using the multiplane technique. Quick reminder, this is what it looked like with a flat painting as a background. So as you can see, if you're going for something more realistic, multiplane works much better. Also, fun side note, in animation, this is called a multiplane effect, but in video games, it's called parallax scrolling. In modern 2D animation, we do all of these effects inside the computer. As you can see, the process is different because we're not using film, we're doing it digitally, but the theories are the same. These are theories that we've been using in animation for almost 100 years at this point. So now I want to show you some of the places where we've used this technique in Infinity Train, but most people don't realize that that's what we did. And now we have a montage! So I hope this was informative. I really love this technique. I think it makes the whole world feel much more handcrafted and cohesive, and it makes it feel like it's like a reminder to people that, like, hey, this was created by a bunch of people. Like, hundreds of people worked together to create this story, and they all had drive toward the same goal in this tedious medium that we call animation. And I think it just looks beautiful, and I'm big fan. I hope you check out our show. It's called Infinity Train. It's streaming on HBO Max, and it was produced through Cartoon Network Studios.